get back to training as soon as it's possible. However, I'm still not fully recovered. It's very odd. Never been that sick for that long for quite a long time. I'll just make sure the sound is good. That should work. So, yeah, hope the sound's gonna work well. So nothing specific today. I'm just trying to be consistent before I get back to proper training, proper content creating. I'm just showing up and well, you can take it as an opportunity to ask questions, of course, but nothing specific, not a specific topic, just open for the conversation. Hello. I assume you're new. You haven't seen me before. She's so cute. Thank you. Hello, brother. Hi, brother. I hope you're doing well. Happy New Year, guys. It's still the beginning of the 2026. Let's try to survive this year. A lot of things going to happen. Basically, since COVID, things getting every year, there are multiple major events worldwide that affects everything. So, yeah, I found it that since COVID, things are going faster. The progress, it's like everything is exponential almost. So, we're just trying to keep up with that pace. I'm from Georgia, the country, from Tbilisi, the capital. I was born there and lived most of my life. And now me and my husband live in Vietnam, Nha Trang. So I'm live streaming from Vietnam right now. So tell me, guys, how is it going? Nothing specific. I'm not back to my themed live streams yet. If you look at my channel and scroll down a little bit, you will see that I do boxing training. I train myself and I give some tips, and well, it's quite fun usually. I also do general fitness, strength training. The other part of it is karaoke nights. I host here some karaoke, and that's a little bit of music and entertainment. I'm looking forward to improve my content this year. Have maybe some of the long form videos consistently, at least once a week. To aim to do that. More shorts, obviously, keep live streaming and just keep the momentum up. But I have been sick since the um, end of December, technically last year, and I'm still not fully recovered. So I'm not back to training. I'm not pushing myself too hard, but I'm trying to be consistent. So these live streams are just about having the conversation. OMG, Vietnam. Yes, well, it's quite a big destination now. I think a lot of foreigners from all around the world have a Vietnam as the top in the top of their list as a tourist destination, or to live short term or long term. I'm meeting people from literally all around the world in Vietnam. Okay, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Yeah, how have you been doing, guys? Feel free to share it in the chat. How is the beginning of the year for you? I hope it goes smoothly. Nothing, not too hard. Hello, hello. What's up? All good, all good. Everything's going well. Still recouping. I miss training. I'll be honest. Just looking forward to get back to it. But as the coach myself and coaching people and training people mostly online at this point, and I work with the long-term clients, I learned one thing: you gotta pace yourself down when you have health issues. Nothing major, but I had a virus which is pretty common. I think it's like a seasonal flu or something, but it hit me really hard. I lost my voice for around 3 days at the time, and then I still I'm still coughing. It still feels odd. My head is still like I'm still a little bit dizzy, even though I try to walk and be active. So the point is, I had a thought that, oh, I'm gonna go back to gym, but then okay, if I join sparrings, for example, every Saturday, which they do every Saturday, well, what is the point? Do I want to get hit in my face, even slightly, even through the technical sparrings right now? It's not the best idea. It's not the best idea. And, even if you have a coach and if you're an athlete or you have a coach, you got to learn to navigate it yourself as well. It's better to rest longer, recover, and maybe have to start over on some things rather than push yourself in the most vulnerable time. Your body might handle it not very well. Okay, what do we have? Are you in Da Nang? No, in Nha Trang. Hi, Kelly. Hello, George. Hi, Apish, Abhishek. India, yes, like all around the world, as I'm saying. How's day going? It's fine. I actually having a performance tonight. Singing became kind of like a little side hustle here in Vietnam, and I'm performing at the casino. And even there, I picked the songs just before this live stream. I was working on my playlist, and I picked the songs that are easy. I have quite a good deep range, so I just chose everything in my comfortable range because it's hard. It's hard to push through the diaphragm. It still feels that I'm not fully recovered. But that's how my day is gonna go, basically. Preparing for the performance. Have a nice smile, thank you. Take any antibiotics? No, I didn't. I didn't. Uh, I would do that. I was planning to go at the doctor, but then I rapidly started recovering. So I had like 3 days of very bad. And I'm Georgian. We like to push through with more of the conventional medicine. And obviously, I took some of the extortionate, some of the stuff that would just help it to go faster. But I avoid antibiotics unless it's very necessary because, that. If you look at the science behind it, the human body creates the tolerance to it. It becomes tolerant and acquainted to it, and then that threshold gets higher, and then it's a problem because when you actually might need antibiotics, when it's like a strong infection or something, it might not really work anymore. So there is a little problem of the collective. Tolerance towards antibiotics. That's why it's not the best thing to push on antibiotics when you just have a flu or something. So I try to avoid it. Social media versus Hollywood, which is worse? Who knows? Well, uh, Hollywood is dark, and social media. Well, social media at least it's oversaturated, but at least it's people. As much as there is so much nonsense, you can find some good stuff on social media. Okay, karate chop, best move. I don't know. I hadn't done karate since I was 15. I moved to boxing very soon. You have a radiating personality. Thank you. I appreciate it. I have worked hard on my personality. You have no idea. Yeah, I look like X Files series actress, slim version. Yeah, I've been told that Becky Lynch is still on the top of the list. Everyone is like, you look like a Becky Lynch. You're Caucasian Georgian or American Georgian? I'm Caucasian, Caucasus Mountain Georgian. I'm from Tbilisi, Gamarjoba, same country as Mirab Dvalishvili and Tapurias. Originally, they were not born in Georgia, but they lived in Georgia sometime, and they're Georgians by blood. You're looking beautiful nowadays. I'm recovering. I think I'm looking a little bit more fresh. Does pineapple go on pizza? I don't mind it. You're from Minnesota? No, I'm from Georgia, but not the state. The country that's bordering with Russia and with Turkey, Armenia, Azerbaijan. So it's like surrounded by all those countries, and Black Sea on the west coast. It's if you think about it, it's the center of it's between the Europe and Asia. So it's like literally in the middle of the Eurasia. Your personality very stunning. I believe personality can really, really improve the looks, don't you think? Okay, thank you very much. Anyways, guys, well, feel free to ask questions. Probably some of you don't know me at all. You see me first time, and well, you don't have to know me. But if you're here, if you're watching, my channel is about showing my journey. It's called Red Hat Diaries. Basically, I'm showing my journey. The arc right now is preparing for the boxing to do my first professional boxing fight this year. I did amateur boxing like years ago, but then I retired, just kept training, learned about, got certified personal trainer and fitness coach. And then I just worked. I learned a lot about um, things that basically are important for sports and physical preparation, which I didn't know before. I have had no idea importance of recovery, strength training, the correct strength training, nutrition, etc. So now I'm coach myself. I've been training people. I do a little bit of boxing training. I never prepared anyone for boxing bout, but I trained them from zero with a pad work and all that kind of stuff. I did personal training like that. Mostly I'm working online with different requests. Obviously, usually it's losing weight, gaining weight, get stronger, get trauma prevention, all that kind of stuff. But through that experience, I learned about myself too, that as much as I want to show the journey of from just training boxing, okay, now I want to compete, right? So what steps we go through, what things we focus on to do that, what are the objections. And so basically this is what I just show on my channel, but also other things like a little bit of entertainment, just having conversation like this, and well, I guess a drop of the common sense in the world. Hey, amigo. Okay, I'm going through the chat. I don't want to miss it, so I'm just gonna. Where was I? Minnesota. That was already the question. I'll go rapid. I will go through the chat rapidly. Uh, I'm not Ashkenazi. I'm not Jew. So far as I'm aware, I'm Georgian. I'm Georgian with the Slavic roots. My mom is half Russian, half Ukrainian, and my father is Georgian with some Armenian roots. And that's I have not even done genetical tests. That's the some bloodlines that I know. I'm married, by the way. Just letting you know, guys. I'm married, so I appreciate it. My husband is usually in the chat. He's moderating. He trains together with me, so we are 24/7 together. If you're inviting me somewhere, expect my husband be with me. Hello, hello. No one knows everyone and everything. That's true. How how the hell Georgia is producing beautiful like you? I'm a big mix. I cannot claim that I'm like fully Georgian with the Georgian blood. Georgian women are very beautiful, but they usually have dark hair, pale skin, but more of the different features. I objectively look more like a Slavic than Georgian. How many languages do you speak? I speak 3 languages fluently: Georgian, Russian, and English. Okay. Can you sing? I do. I was actually practicing today for my later performance. Today I have a performance in the one of the casinos, so I was preparing my playlist. But it's hard because of that plague. Not only training is out of the question at this point, but even singing is. I have to take it very easy. It would probably beat me up. I don't beat people. I don't. I will protect myself for all the costs, but unless it's a threat, I'm very friendly person. My arm tattoo, the dragon, a female warrior face. So it's you can see, you can feel it's the warrior wife tattoo, and the bloody katana. My tattoo master thought it would look cool. Can appreciate you being a professional boxer, but please don't hurt that incredible face. Well, I have. If you look at my channel, I talk a lot about longevity, being smart about things. I'm not the brawler by nature. I am more of the boxing. To me, it's like a chess game. It's like a tactical. It's art, but it's also strategy, right? And part of the strategy is the good defense, and not good defense. Just hide yourself. Like throughout this period since last year I started really preparing and improving my certain aspects like footwork, head movement, certain combos, certain counters, timing. I really One of the things that really improved is my guard. Like I really And that helped me also the fact that I hold pads for my husband. He's a big guy, and I learned how to hold pads for basically everyone. I know how to hold the pads for actual boxers too. So when they do powerful, explosive combos, I know how to catch that. So the point is, I started using a lot of that in my guards too, with body movement, head movement, sleeping, timing it correctly. Um, Finding openings, letting opponents hit without getting a damage. So just letting you know, if you even look at some of the sparrings that I did already, I have a couple Saturday sparrings from the thing. You can see that I, at all times, pretty much have my guard up, unless it's just some different type of work. When I'm we're doing like a freestyle sparring, I usually prefer to have my guard up and use it in many different ways. Okay, what do we have? You don't. I don't have a cauliflower ears. That is more common for the wrestlers and judo and BJJ. I have a little bit of shifted nose. It's not much. You can see nostril is a little bit, but that's fine. I got that injury from the training, by the way, years ago, which right now I'm avoiding. I'm not doing heavy sparrings at all. Only sparrings that I'm doing is it can go heavy on the this part, but we're doing it smart. We're not hitting super hard on the head because you don't want accumulative CTE resulting that into the CTE and brain damage long term. Also, hydration. Always trying to be hydrated at all times. Oh, sorry, just pushed the handle. Okay, let me. What do we have here? But yeah, beautiful. I served 27 years in army, 7 combat tours, 4 to Iraq, 3 to Afghanistan. Well, that's tough. I know some United States former military. We met it like I met them back in Georgia, here in Vietnam. Tough guys, very tough. Your lucky husband. Thank you. I'm lucky too. He's a big, strong, confident man. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm almost on the way on the top of the chat. Boxing is like chess. Well, it truly is. Does your boxing career disturb your personal life? Well, in my case, it's funny enough that I met my husband 3 years ago, and almost immediately we were just started living together. It was straight away, and um, we have been inseparable almost. I think total we've been apart from 10 days. So we travel together, we live together, and interesting enough, my husband was one of the first people. One of my other boxer friends, she's a very good boxer, and my husband were the ones who are like, "Don't you want to get back to it?" So when I started YouTube and maybe live streaming a little bit, they're like, you can be good. You like you can be good as in the professional boxing. Why wouldn't you do that? But do it as the part of the long-term strategy. It's not, to me, it's not about, I love boxing, I love training boxing, I love doing it's like playing chess. You don't have to be a grandmaster to love it and keep getting better at it. But at the same time, we want to grow our YouTube platform. We are in Southeast Asia, saving up quite a big good amount every month to be able to get some more property in the future. So it's just a part of the long-term plan, and a lot of networking and community building. So fighting, it's more like a hero's arc. I definitely I'm going to do different few professional fights at the very least. and I'm gonna prepare to the point that I'm oriented on the victory, on the winning, not just, oh, what if, no, that I'm confident into what I built up. And that's what I'm showing here. I'm open about things that, okay, I'm not as good as I would want to be, and there are certain things that have a better improvement. I'm fast. I'm quite a hard puncher for my weight class. My guard is on point, and my body movement got way better. So the upper body defense, my footwork, despite also getting better, this is one of the weakest points for me. And I just think because I'm critical of myself. So that's one thing I want to keep, just keep getting better and having a heavier focus. And all of that you put into a timing realm. So okay, you have everything built up pretty much. Then it's about learning how to use timing. So every time you do sparring training or even a dedicated combo training, you're not just doing combo. You literally need to visualize it, train, and think about when and why you're doing it, and why would you do that, when would you do that, how you would set it up. And it comes with the practice, obviously, right? That's why the sparrings are important. But even there's the philosophy. You don't want heavy like sparrings, because it's just not going to teach you anything. You're just going to build the resistance. Your brain's going to build the resistance and probably get a damage. A lot of people get CTE and the brain damage on the trainings, not on the actual competition, unfortunately. But that is changing. Fortunately, it is changing now, that attitude. And a lot of gyms, a lot of coaches are understanding the importance of having a focused, nuanced work rather than just go heavy and you know get an unnecessary damage. What about Tapuria? I think Tapuria's training smart. I don't know. I hope he's gonna be back soon, and we shall see. I believe in him. I think he's good, and people saying and are underestimating him, but that's what people do when someone is on the top. So, how does my husband support you? Well, basically, he just next to me. He just makes sure that we're having the environment. He's like a manager to certain extent. He's my manager, my bodyguard. Is like a lot of those things. He knows how to navigate, and he makes sure that even he's very good at supplementation. So he has quite an extraordinary story. He used to be a base jumper, crashed, and they found a encapsulated cancer, cut it out, like crazy. He was in 4 months coma, and he learned a lot about how to supplement and nutrition and muscular hypertrophy slash strength training in those period. That was before we met, and yeah, now he's doing the same for me. So he is making sure that I'm getting enough supplements, enough nutrition. My sleep is fortunately good, so I'm just, and I have time to sleep. And when it comes to boxing training, I'm more of the, I teach him a little bit, and he helps me as well. But I'm just watching videos. And when it comes to my husband's support, he's just there, and he just says, "You got this," and he sees it. He believes in it. He wants me to do it. Obviously, I want to do it too. But it's amazing when you have someone who is like, you're in a relationship, but it's not a hurdle, especially for a woman, because as a woman, you want kids at some point, and he's like, we're literally, okay, you're gonna do it before, yeah, at some point we're gonna have kids in a few years, and there we focus more, and we're gonna start training them, and raise them as the little boxers, as a feet children, being able to train and do different stuff and be develop the strengths and agilities from the childhood. So that will be focused when we have kids. But before that, he's like, you can shine, you can do that. So I'll help you. We travel. We can just coast here in Vietnam in a trunk like we're doing now, and it's all good. You should teach English speaking Russians. I would do that, except if I would. I don't have to. Like there's as much things you can do, and time wise and priority wise, I already have enough income, and my husband already has enough income. So we kind of, um, I would do it if I had to, but I don't have to do that at this point. I'm also online personal coach and trainer, and I coach people on the longevity training, building baseline. So it's multi-directional. And by the way, my husband is Aiden Chris. He's in the chat. He says, I coach her in the strengths and nutrition and let her hit my guard a fair bit so she gets stronger. She also holds pads for me, and that builds her strength. Also, I'm 95 kgs and hit pretty hard. Yes. Yeah, holding pads for my husband and teaching him how to punch, and obviously observing his improvement and his improved power, and still being able to do that. That really, as I said, I started using it in my own guard. So now, to me, if someone my size punches it, even when the guys, like, when you do it correctly, when you get that punch reflected on your guard correctly, you start feeling more confident. It's like the turtle effect. You have that shell that is hard to break. Husband's lucky. You're so beautiful. So am I. Both are lucky. He's in chat, by the way. Love your content. Keep doing it. By the way, beautiful. Mashallah. God bless you. God bless you too. Thank you. Hey, Matt. Oh, good to see you. Matt is here. Matt is one of the longtime viewers, online friends, basically, and he's a moderator here. So, yeah. And my husband is also moderator. So don't piss them off. Let's keep the chat clean. Are you well educated? Well, I'm definitely a curious person. And I think in the last 3 years, since me and my husband are together, my English got better. Now it's like a nonstop information consumed in English. And we usually learn together. And my attitude towards researching and fact checking also changed in a positive way. So yeah, I think especially in the last 3 years, I'm more educated on many subjects. But if you're asking me about university, I don't have. I have a international certification for the coaching, so the license and all that kind of stuff. But I did one, like the half of a year in the university in a psychology degree, and I just quit back in Georgia because that was not for me. I realized that was too shaped in a box, and well, I always felt that that's not for me. Konnichiwa. And we're trying glycine for even better sleep. We will report on how it works. Yeah, Chris, we got some new supplements, so that's definitely trying. I'm as I said, my sleep is quite good. It's not necessary for me, but Chris definitely needs a little bit of help with his sleep. Don't worry, my husband and I are aware of the fertility. Everything's gonna be fine. I have to worry about it. No, I don't speak Hungarian. I wish to know many languages. It just lately I haven't been really committing to any languages. I'm saying online you could teach audience Russian. I don't know. Maybe at some point I would do that. I also can teach Georgian. What's your favorite fighting style? I'm more and more leaning towards the fluidity, and the fluid boxers are the ones that basically can change styles. Those are the best ones because that is direct reflection on their boxing IQ and fighting IQ. However, I like if you look at me, there's a lot of peekaboo. People pointed out that there's peekaboo elements. And Tyson is one of my all-time favorites. As much as I acknowledge some downsides of the peekaboo style, but there are also a lot of positives, a lot of um, like big damage, big influence, speed, power that comes from a peekaboo style, and I definitely use elements of it. I think I do, and I'm also a shorter boxer usually, so this is what I've been working more of the closer and the middle range work as the shorter person against the taller boxer. That's the only way I would be able to win the game. However, I've been trained in Georgia, right? So my first style would be some sort of a Soviet style, a lot of back and forth footwork, countering, that kind of stuff, jabbing, a lot of jabbing. My jab is quite on point. So I jab, hook, I sneak in certain, so I'm Orthodox, right? So the left side is my front side. And I do a lot of stuff with my front hand. I liked ending combos with the left hook. So it would be like 1, 2, and then heavy left hook. That is, I assume it might be quite damaging on the ring. As I said, I have not had a fight with a girl for a long time. I sparred once with a girl back in Georgia, but she was a teenager, so I was careful with her. She wasn't, but I was. Anyway, it went well. But I think since then I got even better and more adapted to the sparring dynamics. So yeah, basically, um, I'm all for the mixing styles and finding the openings. Because if you just push one style, sometimes you pick one style and you keep fairly simple because you see, like, let's say that counter works. It just works. You're fast enough, your time is good, you do it. So you jab, you set up jab, you're posting jab, you just annoy them, bum, bum, and then you do 1, 2, and you just work that way, and it's very simple. But then at some point you meet someone who is very, very fluid, and with them, now you know it's about at some point you need to set in and actually let them punch to maybe exhaust them a little bit and counter them in the core and in the arms more than in the head, just because they already throw a lot of punches. You get that on the guard, you just counter it to apply more damage and more fatigue in those areas. And once you realize that you kind of survive that damage and they start slowing down, this is when you keep build up the momentum on the countering. So it depends on the dynamic, and I think that's the beauty of the boxing. You learn how to read through, how to and not only read through, but be able to execute certain countering elements that will be effective on the ring. Makes me feel insecure. I'm too short. Okay, guys, I'll be whatever height you are. If you're gonna focus on it too much and radiate that insecurity, that's not gonna help you. You cannot change your height, but you definitely can change your attitude. Okay, so don't stop feeling sorry for yourself, so others don't do the same. I'm a boxer, but well, that people, boxers, wrestlers, very often they watch MMA. They might not practice it directly, but mixed martial arts is interesting for all of us. It's because it has elements of, like, even for the boxing sake, sometimes I enjoy just seeing, like, one of the reasons I like Tapuria brothers is their boxing is quite clean in the MMA. They're setting it up quite well. So yeah, I just watch MMA and specifically UFC at this point. Try to follow up on others, but I think mostly it's all around the UFC. Okay, good night, Matt. Thank you for being here. Yeah, my husband says same about the height. Cannot do anything about that, but just focus on your and building up your strengths, things that you can control. Sleep can always get better, more restorative. There is the reason why top tier athletes have whole teams of doctors to help with sleep. Yes, that's true. Good night. Okay. No, I'm not. I'm married, and my husband is here in the chat, and he's responding to some of the questions. I'm not even natural redhead. I'm more of the like a dark blonde or light brown hair color, but it's very flexible hair color. I just apply the dye, and it just makes it look very natural. And at my heart, I'm ginger. I wish I was born ginger, but I think I just can't pull it off. My husband says no babies yet. White House cards. Let's see how. It's a little bit of mess around it. We still don't have the whole card ready. Raymond, I outweighed her by about 40 kgs. Not really a fair fight. She's way better technically than me, though. That's my husband, so that's what he says. Well, it's fair because I've been practicing here and there. I've still been practicing boxing for 10 years now. And it's a time. Even if you just, even if majority of that time was retired, but I still practiced, and there are a lot of things I polished. And from since the beginning of the last year, I've been focusing a lot, heavily on those nuances to improve my footwork, my guard, my punches, my frequency, endurance, all that kind of stuff, and timing, obviously. And it's just got rapidly improved. Fair play, Chris. Technique doesn't always win when the size power difference is too much. Oh, of course it doesn't. Yeah, that. There is the reason why we have women against women, men against men, and even there we have the weight classes. If you put a lightweight against, if you put Gervonta Davis versus Usyk, for example, no matter how good Gervonta is, it's just the size difference going to be the biggest factor in that case, especially if it's the equal levels of boxing. Ronda Rousey versus you in the boxing match prediction, please. Listen, Ronda used to be. She was like, she brought a lot of visibility to MMA. Her striking is not good, and I'm saying it objectively, not subjectively. Her wrestling, though, her judo is elite level, even still. She seems to be training more now lately, and it's good. It's good to that she still has that skill. It just was striking. She has a clumsy striking, and she's bigger though. But I think it's like every normal like boxer would be at least outbox her. As we said, the size difference matters at times, but generally, yeah. I mean, respect to Ronda, but she never been a good striker. Ilya and Marap are making Georgia proud. Yes, people definitely are hyped up. Thoughts on Justin Gage's striking skills? Justin Gage is, well, he's called the highlight Gage for a reason. Like Dustin Poirier, Max Holloway, Charles, like those are the ones, the few fighters of the kind of that they were around to from 2000 since 2007 2005, like that period. They've been around all along, and those are, I wouldn't call it generation, but maybe a type of fighters who are super entertaining, and they striking, it might not be super clean or super precise, but they throw hands, they land those damaging punches. So Gage is one of those, and yeah, I mean, that's what I can say. One thing that Justin Gage never been is boring. Yeah, my husband says Justin's got the great hands because he throws them. He's not the one, like he's not those type. As much as I'm not disrespecting any Dagestanis, but they usually, even their striking is to set up uh, for the fight for the takedown, and then put it on the ground and just be on the ground. Whether than Justin Gagey would lose a lot of fights just to keep it on the feet and make it more entertaining and throw those hands. Like talking on the book on simplicity, your face could be the cover page for the book. I guess that's a compliment. Thank you. Okay, what do we have here? I think I'm all the way up in the chat. I think Justin will once again upset people by winning. There is a chances for him too. I don't think it would be impossible. Also, Paddy didn't necessarily prove, like, yeah, he won against Michael Chandler, but like everyone, all of those guys won against Michael. So Michael's not the most technical. He's physically fit, but he's not the most technical and most high IQ fighter out there. So Paddy Pimblett, we haven't really seen what he's really capable of. Yeah, his fights are entertaining and his persona is entertaining, but it was also like he has a good setup. He fought good matches and he looked good. So we shall see. We shall see if Uncle Gagey takes him to the deep waters, or if Paddy's actually a upcoming prospect. So it is a little bit of kind of both ways. There's both ways they can prove certain things. Charles is literally an anaconda from Amazon rainforest. That's true. Tony Ferguson versus Habib reviews through fights never happens. Well, it's like if they tried to set up it 5 times, like if throughout the years and it never happened, someone, rather Habib was sick or Tony was sick, and essentially it just didn't never happen. I don't even know. Prime Tony versus Prime Habib could be different for Habib, because Prime Tony was nuts. He was. He can beat Ronda in the box match, no doubt. I'm not one of the humble people. I rather keep my mouth shut before actually doing something. So even if I would fight her, I wouldn't talk about, oh, I can do this and that. I was like, oh, we shall see, we shall see. I'll try. I'll do my best, and then the outcome would show. Um, I'm a safe player when it comes to that. I'm definitely not a trash talker. Best defense against Dagestani style, a good wrestling defense, takedown defense, and actual rather Greco-Roman or freestyle or mix of those, or maybe a sambo wrestling, sambo training is also good. So those freestyles, obviously BJJ is more like a defensive grappling, but something that is goes under the offensive wrestling category. You have to push them, outpower them a little bit, show them that they cannot control you on the ground. That's well, you could see like a Gilbert Burns versus Hamzat was a good fight. Yeah, Hamzat was not. I think he was a little bit sick or something, but doesn't matter. It was the fact is the fight was there, and it was quite an entertaining fight. I think because Burns had the good resistance. So I think that's the only way really. And if you have also on the top of it, you have a better striking, so you're able to just not let them work on the ground, get back up, and then you just strike them through. I think that's the only way to push through their dominant wrestling. Because not all of them are. Habib wasn't that as good of the striker. So if he actually faced a equally good wrestler with the a good average good striking, he could have a hard time. I think that's why Islam is one of the most well-rounded Dagestani fighters ever that ever been there. His stamina is good. His wrestling is great. His boxing is actually good. Like with Jack Della Maddalena, it showed how he's countering, his counter timing and counter striking is very good. So yeah, we're having more of the generation of well-rounded fighters now. Under boxing rules, she would stand a good chance against Ronda. That's my husband says. Thank you, baby. Okay, what do we have here? The parents have a really beautiful and lovely daughter. Greetings from Haraway, Germany. Thank you. They would be happy to hear that. Whoopi Goldberg fights and Jake Paul. Okay, it's like, don't tell me, please. Steroids and good grappling also. Yeah, it's a great area in sport. However, UFC, if you look at it, still is generally the best, the strictest doping control in the later years, comparing to other organizations like PFL and Octagon, and definitely one championship. Um, What I like about the One Championship, though, they have a hydration test, and I think that UFC needs to add that one to monitor the fighters better. Maybe they don't do that because well, a lot of them get dehydrated because of the water the aggressive water cuts, but to for the longevity and the CTE prevention, it is actually one of the biggest factors to be hydrated or be able to rehydrate before the actual fight. But yeah, with the steroids, I think it's more randomized in UFC, not just before fight, and people just know when to prepare, when to get clean, and increase the chances of washing it off. When it's randomized, it's trickier. I do have a sister, but she's like a polar opposite for me. She's beautiful though, but it's definitely different lifestyle, different personality. Do you agree that UFC has lost in the last the aura in the last 5 to 10 years? In the UFC golden era over, will we get a new era, or will the next biggest fight be Jake Paul versus Island Boys? I would say it's a little bit less than that. I think it was still entertaining in the period, even though like Habib people shit a lot on Habib, but I think he has some entertaining fights, and he was ruthless when it comes to the wrestling. His wrestling was interesting to watch. It wasn't as and it was still a period when fighters didn't have to play safe because the skill level is so much higher. So much higher now. But I think there are some characters even now that are good fights. It's just generally because of the increased timing and skill and danger. Fighters are also not as clumsy anymore. I'm not saying everyone was clumsy. There were such good fighters before, but it was more about fighting, like really put it in, and it was super entertaining to watch. Now it's about not get as much damage and apply clean damage on the opponent. So for the mixed martial lovers, it might be still entertaining. Like sometimes I watch fights like that, and I like fights like that. Same as boxing. I like technical boxings like that. I like boxing with like I don't need a knockout necessarily. Like you watch the entire bout and just watch what they're doing. The like you would watch the grandmasters playing the chess, and just look. You don't want that to end soon. You just look observe that exchange, right? But I think for more of the casual fans, or not even casual, a lot of MMA lovers who miss that pioneer era, I understand where that frustration comes from. And yes, there is a change. There's definitely a change. I don't know. Is there what would be your solution? Maybe look over certain rules. Maybe the rounds, like maybe just take away rounds completely and just make it like it used to be before. There were a lot of experimental type of fights where it would be just no rounds at all, or like the each round would be 15 minutes and go unlimited until someone gives up. What would you what would the solution be for you? Yeah, my husband says, please don't spam, or we will delete you from the channel. And obviously, don't be disrespectful, and uh, let's keep the chat clean. How would you control too much wrestling? Again, with the wrestling. That's why I think more fighters need to just go through the wrestling camps and really train. Tapurias do that. I think they train boxing separately with boxers, and they do wrestling training separately with wrestlers. And I think that makes sense, especially to the wrestling. You need this good, strong wrestling. You need to be able to switch and do an actual wrestling, not just like not just the defensive BJJ, and then yeah, you might not let an offensive wrestler submit you, but you're gonna lose by control time, essentially, at the very least. So the aggressive wrestling against the aggressive wrestling, that's the one that works. I'm not a wrestler myself. I'm just saying more of the power dynamics and physically how it would work or what would work. Okay. Yeah, Connor's having doubtful life choices, but well, he's having kids though, and his spouse is he's I think he's got married recently officially. So I don't know how they made it work, but uh, he might be doing okay at this point. Um, did you record after the machine got rusted? I was very objective of it. Yes, it was frustrating, but it has its reasons. And I hope Merab and his team learn about. They underestimated Jan, and they overestimated his abilities when it comes to do so many tile defenses, all that kind of stuff, aggressive water cuts. A lot of things Merab apparently does an old school way, and that's not good. Seems to be a little bit stubborn on listening on the recommendations, and that's not good. But I hope they just walk through that. Merab has a very strong mentality. I believe his attitude is not about giving up and be defeated, but some physical, simply a recovery and certain adjustments has to be done with how they do water cuts, the frequency, and recovery. He's not getting younger, and it's just not good for his long-term health as well. So at this point, I hope he rests enough. He gets back into shape, and with the fresh mentality, fresh attitude. Also, as much as it's I respect him with trying to play same game, the basically fight in the Piotr Jan's rules, but you don't do that with Piotr. You're not gonna win with Piotr Jan. So unless he really comes back with another level of everything, which no offense, I respect Merab, and it was quite interesting to see his development, but he's not also the highest fighting IQ. No, he's more of he has a good stamina, he has good physicality, but his training style is also, it showed that he doesn't have that precise punching power and the accuracy, right? Which is nothing wrong. That can be trained, but it takes time and it takes right training. And it's also a lot of that depends on his team. Shortly saying, he has the best chances to win against Jan again, the way how he did it first time. Wrestle, 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 wrestle most of the time. And Jan did a great job with preparing against takedown defenses and the single leg takedown defense. There are a lot of nuances. They really studied Merab. They really did. And but I'm just saying, Merab just needs to get back with a better physicality and with a better restlessness like he does, and focus on putting him down, because at some point you can break through that defense, and trying to avoid to strike with Piotr Jan in Merab's case is one of the safest and most realistic strategies. However, we shall see. We shall see. It might be a good fight. Definitely it deserves a trilogy. Merab deserves a rematch, and we deserve to see that. Someone says, yes, the fighters got more skilled and people don't want to get injured to fight with more caution. Yes, I mentioned that before, and I agree with you. Could not believe the fight between Andrew Tate and the other guy recently. What are your thoughts? Was it pretty? And the other guy is younger. They're fit, and the other guy is obviously fit. What was like Chase Demore? I never watched his fights before, but then I watched some highlights, and he's not a good boxer either. He's blessed. He's quite blessed with the range. So is Tate. Andrew Tate has good physicality, like for natural athleticism. And I watched some breakdown on that fight, but it was it was good breakdown, because it wasn't just exposing him how bad he is. No, he has some good elements. He's like a counter puncher. He has some quite a good timing. His defense, his upper body, his guard is not good. Pretty much, he's not using his chin position. Some kickboxers have that, but not all of them. And the organization he fought in is not nearly close with the level as, the what was the name of there's two most common, where the Pereira and Adesanya, where Pereira was 2-time champion. Not Pride. starts on G. But anyways, remind me. So just even the levels where they fought, and basically Tate mentioning that he would want to fight Pereira, he showed that he's just not that level. There's nothing wrong to step on the ring. Me and my husband say that we always respect anyone who steps on the ring and actually has a real fight. But we could see the level. He's not bad, but he's not the best either. He's not that elite level. And he's one-sided. His style is countering. If you push him, if you give him that relentless pressure, he in that video breakdown, that was not only his fight with the recent fight with Demore, but it was like his former fights. Some of the ones that the footages were there out in YouTube, and yeah, you could see there that every time he would lose, it was against someone who would just basically he would not counter puncher, and they would just be able to press them. For me, it was a fighter's progression. Watch them come up from the bottom ranks to the top. Okay, what do we have? GDM versus Morales for the White House card. I would watch Islam versus Morales, honestly, unless they do more Islam Topuria for whatever reason. But I think Michael Morales is a real threat for Islam Makhachev. It's also because of his size in many ways, and he's objectively, he might not be, people say, oh, he's not as good. Well, he doesn't have to be that fast and that agile if he has a good timing, in which he has, and he has crazy punching power. He can knock out anyone in the division. If he catches Islam, he can knock him out. Also, Islam is not known for the best chin. And with his crazy reach, if you compare him to everyone in the division, his reach is crazy. He's like a Pereira of welterweight at this point, but with actual wrestling. He has a judo background, he has wrestling background, so he knows, and he's big enough. He actually can, he might be one of those people who Islam tries to wrestle, but he cannot just hold him down because he's a little bit too big, and he obviously has a wrestling experience himself. So he might be able to defend those takedown attempts and that kind of stuff. And in the stand, I don't think Islam would want to do the stand-up fight with Michael Morales. I'm not saying Islam is losing or he's better than. I'm just saying the certain potential threats from Michael Morales' side. I see him as the biggest threat in the division for pretty much everyone. And at some point, if he continues, and especially in the welterweight, he's going to be a champion, I think. Merab is a cool guy. He seems to be shocked after his loss. I mean, well, he didn't make too many excuses, fortunately, and he just gave a credit to Petr Yan, so I think that was good. Okay. Jan did very well against Merab. Well, he did, no doubt about that. Have you seen Mike Hunt show on the channel 11? Mike Hunt? No, I didn't follow that one. As a show now. UFC fighter. Well, apart from Georgians, putting them on the other pedestal a lot. At this point, Pereira, Volk, I do like. That's Emporio retired, but I like him a lot. Prohaska. Well, there are a lot. There are many. I mean, there are actually many that I like. It's just too long to say all of them, because every fighter has their history and they have their unique style, and combined with personality, it's just quite. You don't have a single person that you like. There are many. It's very clever, working on communication skill. I'm a curious person. I like to say it that way. Appreciate your dedication. I'm trying. Businesswoman. Oh, if you knew how bad I'm at math, you wouldn't say that. Avenger, slap Piotr Jan. If that was that easy to slap a Piotr Jan. Okay. I know what is K1. What was the question? Oh, sorry, pulled it. Anyways, yeah, this is the coffee shop, one of the very common little tiny chairs in Vietnam, the trunk. Just engage in knockout out Dustin while a leg kick was a beautiful thing. Yes, that's that's why just engage is called highlight gauge. You're pretty and your personality is like a chill guy. Chill guy. I'm a chill dude. Yes. Well, what's why to stress, right? What's going on? My comments being deleted. I don't know. Maybe it's moderated. Sometimes it's the YouTube itself. I think. Ah, what was your favorite K1 knockout? I'll be honest. I have not seen K1 in forever because that is part of my. I'm 25 years old. I was born in the year 2000, so everything before that was a little bit of history, and even well up until I was 10 years old, right? I started watching a little bit of MMA and boxing when I was 15, when I was actually started doing karate, and then moved to boxing, and I was more familiar with martial arts. So I don't really watch K1, and yeah, I didn't rewatch it on YouTube too much. I've seen more of the Pride stuff rather than K1. What's yours though? 95% an Avenger girl. I've been told that. Are there there are lobsters in Vietnam? I heard it's very cheap. There's seafood. I mean, yes, and it's great seafood. And they have buffets that you pay dirt cheap for, and you can eat fresh seafood. You can grill it, and there's some already cooked seafood, and it's delicious. And in some parts of the street, they sell an actually a lobster cooked right on the street. So Vietnamese grandma just makes lobster, and comparing to what they will cost everywhere else in the world, it's not expensive. Ah, it was a K1, but there is another one, Glory. I think Glory. Yeah, K1 and Glory was the two organizations that was the most the highest level. I think it still is. As I said, I'm not following too much on the kickboxing. It just it when I look at the fighters and their background a little bit and where they come from, this is where it shows up. But I'm not really. I haven't. I think kickboxing is something that I don't really watch as a separate thing. I mean, I've seen some highlights, some specific people, but it's usually if I take an interest in some sort of mixed martial artist or fighter who have that background, this is how I watch it. Still prefer boxing as the. Do I watch boxing more than MMA, UFC specifically? I think I do. Even though I follow on the upcoming UFC events and fight nights, and it's just more frequent now, right? Um, I think the most what I watch and rewatch on YouTube is the boxing bouts. She lives a good life. I need to move to Vietnam, box, eat soup, and have a live stream. I'm very pretty. I might take all your viewers away from you. It's no problem. No problem. If that's what you want to do, go ahead. You really, if you really want to try, and you're not doing that just because you think that people are not gonna like you, just don't think about it. Do you travel frequently? Well, with together with my husband, he kind of took me, and we just went for travels, different travels. We've been some places and shorter periods, and then we came back to. We went for to Vietnam and South Asia for longer term. So I would say it is frequent in for most of the people. Okay, saving your retirement, living there too. I guess we can call it that way. Glory is amazing. I think was Pereira two-time Glory champion, and Adesanya. This is where he lost against Pereira first time. I'm almost certain it was Glory, not K1. This is your age. I'm 25 years old. I used to live in Vietnam. How was it for you? Buy a house in Vietnam, there is only leases, so I wouldn't recommend to buy a house unless it's a very good returns in a few years and you make that money back and something on top, but not as the you're not gonna own a home, and they don't say sell land to foreigners. No, under no circumstances, I think. Okay, if you're a lot, you gotta be a fighter. That was Keanu who said that. Okay, please don't spam. I already said what's my age. Wait, are you a pro fighter or just box and watching boxing? Well, I'm looking forward to do professional bouts in boxing. Boxing specifically. People push me towards MMA, but there are too many risks that I'm just not willing to take. Really, I don't. For example, knowing all the eye poke issue, for example, I wouldn't put myself in the situation to get my eyes poked. My eyes are already not very good. I actually need to get the LASIK surgery too. I'll do first few fights with the contacts, just because I learned how to keep a good guard, and and it's fine even if it drops out. I still can see. It's just not. I don't have a good vision. I have like a -5 in both eyes. Apart from that, I have healthy eyes, according to last checks. But yeah, I wouldn't put myself in a situation if just one eye poke and all of a sudden my eyes are fucked for life. So that's one of the reasons. I prefer boxing, and I love boxing. I feel comfortable in boxing. It's still different. There's still a big difference between MMA and boxing, because boxing is more concentrated. There's no leg kicks. You only have footwork. There's no knees, no elbows. But there's upper guard. You have upper body defense. You have head movement, multi-directional, and like forward, backwards, side cutting angles, and you know different types of punches and some little nuances on top. I like that it's quite concentrated, and you can work on stomach, you can work head, so you have two level work at the very least. Some people forget about arms and shoulders, but it says also good places to punch. So maybe we can split into a 3 layers, like here, head and stomach. So I love boxing. I've been doing it myself, and I'm not willing to move to MMA you know, just to for the view's sake. People can see my journey in boxing, and if you're looking forward to see it, feel free to join and watch it, broadcast it. But I'm very careful about my health. I'm very careful about the long term. I'm not the person who likes to put myself into unnecessary danger with minimal reward or returns, but actually a long term negative consequences. I'm from Georgia, the country. Habib or Islam in MMA? Islam. I think a lot of people agree, more and more people agree. I understand that Islam trained under Habib, and well, basically Habib is a coach now, and he's like an older brother for him. But Islam, from MMA perspective, is way better MMA fighter, way more rounded. If you take their pure wrestling, and if you take Khabib at his prime, Khabib's wrestling was super aggressive, super relentless, super pressuring. I think one of the most pressuring, though arguably him and Hamzat. Hamzat is also an aggressive wrestler, but he plays it safe when he can. Well, Habib was more of the, just like, if Habib would put you on the ground, that's it. He would drag you to deep waters. So if you compare just wrestling, well, there I think it's possible to put Habib still on the higher level just because of that volume and pressure. However, fighting IQ generally, more as a more well-rounded fighter, and generally as one of the best fighters at this point in the UFC, is definitely Islam. Do you have an experience within the industry? Would you be able to provide guidance on how to enter this field? If you talk about MMA, I don't think so. I can give you some guidance on the striking in general, striking and how it's different from boxing and MMA. If you would want to be coached, but not not as the. And I can give you a general aspects of. I mean, things like actually how to do a proper water cut and proper strengths and physical training for MMA. That I can, both me and my husband can give a more perspective on that. But I'm never gonna say. I mean, I did BJJ and I did a little bit of all the martial arts with some of my MMA friends, but that was for fun, and that was just enough to be able to watch sport and understand. I know how to do the like the roundhouse kick, and I know how to do the lower kicks and spinning back kick, for example, and throw the proper elbows. I know how to do it technically, even though I'm not using it in boxing, right? But it's still not enough to really, really give like an actual guidance in MMA. When it comes to boxing, I'm actually looking forward to. You can look at it that way. I'm practicing by showing my journey and kind of showing it on myself how I do it and where it's gonna end up. I'm practicing a little bit my coaching abilities in the boxing, because in boxing I see things way more, right? The detailite and nuances. I can give you a little advice on how to, modify certain things. Also, as a coach, then at some point it's not even about how you execute it; it's about how you see it, the solutions you come up with. So, if you're asking about boxing, yeah, I think I already can do. A lot of people told me that some advices and tips I gave them throughout my training live streams actually helped them to um, achieve certain success in the sparring and be able to use it efficiently. Does your YouTube channel? My YouTube channel, I'm not making that much money on YouTube specifically, but I have a long-term clients I'm working on. Here, I'm making a little bit of money through my singing gig. So here, right now, we can at least save up quite a good bit of money, and we're not rich, but we are able, if we're in the right place with the right the cost of living for us, well, it's better for we're able to do certain things long term. But at this point, I mean, obviously we can travel, but there are certain countries that are just too expensive. Like if we would go to United States, it would be very high at this point, and I wouldn't really want to live in the United States. I'll be honest, because of the crazy inflation, the lifestyle. I like middle-sized towns, and I like when it's walkable. So that's why Europe is better for me, and I like parts of Southeast Asia for that. And there are many places that are more compact, smaller. You have enough, but you also have nature around. You have some nature destinations within close range, and the lifestyle and the pacing is slower. The life rhythm is slower generally. Who is the best kickboxer ever? I cannot tell you that because, as I said, kickboxers. There are a lot of kickboxers I don't know, and that's one of the fields I'm all exploring and looking into more. But one of the great ones definitely was and the ones I know is Benny the Jet Urquidez. If you look at it, like if he's look his old fights, somehow I don't know, it was his weight class or his era. It was like almost cinematic kickboxing. It was again, it was not too careful, like the martial arts evolved. Boxing, all the combat sports evolved to the direction that fighters are more careful now. But at the same time, it was so precise, so accurate. You had the clean shots, and they would do crazy spinning back kicks, super fast, like lightning fast. What is a fight? Very old fight. I think that was the one of the ones I watched of his full fights. Is Urquidez, the Benny Jet versus Alex Jones, the black guy, and it was like a black and white, some sort of footage. And that man he's still alive. He's coaching. He seems to be in great shape. Very smart man, and he has like 200 something fights, and most of them are like wins. I think like 19 losses out of 200 something fights. So that's quite crazy. And like the style that he developed, Okidokan, I think it's called. So there are a lot of prominent figures that sometimes history and mainstream forgets them a little bit too, but then you discover and you're like, wow, that's crazy. Okay. Do you think we'll get the belt back? Well, I hope so. I hope so. But Merab needs to start. He needs to slow down with that being super like machine because he's still a human. So he needs to start thinking about retiring in the way that being smart about it. Because very easily he can be one of the fighters who was on top and just go down. And like Tony Ferguson, he cannot. He now he moved to boxing and he has wins and we're all happy. But the guy's full on CTE right now, and that's very sad. And I don't want Merab to be at that point. So even if he wins against Piotr, and it will be 2-1, I think he needs to start thinking about retiring. That's my humble opinion, obviously. I'm not saying he couldn't do anything else, but in a combination of factors of his age, the damage he already took throughout the years of being in MMA, he needs to start thinking about how to wrap it up gracefully. You know what I mean? At least I'm that kind of person. I would think about those kind of things, and that's why you have some fighters who think that way. Like it or dislike it, but it's better to be smart because people want blood, people want the fight, like a gladiator fight, but you're the ones what about your health? What about long? And that's the thing. When you retire, people are gonna forget about you. There might be some dedicated fans. Most of people, no one's gonna care. And you put yourself, all of yourself, in the industry, and then you end up with a brain damage, and everyone turns back to you, and you lose your money. You basically end up being broke, and then with snap and commit suicide or dive into alcoholism, right? I'm just talking about negative possibilities. So, well, I don't wish that. I rather see him retire at the top and know that he's doing well and he can make a coach and he can uh, try different things without taking that damage. There's like limits to it. Can you counter the hypox in your guard is up? It depends on the guard position, but in MMA, it's hard to keep guard like that. In the boxing, it's very convenient. You can just shell yourself up, move body movement, and the gloves create the cushion. And well, gloves don't let you eye poke in the first place, so you are safe from the eye pokes in boxing. In MMA, there is always a possibility, no matter how good your guard is. And in MMA, you cannot be fully closed. You might have a good guard, like Taporias have good guard, shoulders up, they sleep under, they use those boxing elements, but at the same time, you're not 100% protected. This tattoo, that's my left one. I have to slap with that arm. let's last question. Are you married yet? Are you looking for a handsome rich man to help you achieve your goal? I yes, I'm married and um I have a handsome rich man. I mean, not rich, okay? He's Norwegian, so he's by extension wealthy in the way that he's gonna be taken care of, and we're gonna be taken care of. If we have kids and everything's gonna be fine. But at the same time, yeah, I already have a man, and he's supporting me and actually insisting for me to achieve those goals because he believes in me, even at times when I don't. So he was in the chat earlier. I think uh, he's working as well himself, so yeah, he had to leave the chat. He's even more beautiful now, comparing to what? When? Yes, I am married. Okay, let me. Oh, he's in the chat, by the way. Okay, someone's spamming and someone got muted. Ili is best because he's Georgian. Ili is one of the best at this point because he's smart and he worked hard. Yes, he happened to be Georgian, and yeah, genetics do the things. But let's be honest. Let's not put a category of like, oh, that's also how makes people into put them into the position that okay, because someone achieves something good from your country and you take their achievement on yourself because he's a fellow Georgian. No, it doesn't work that way. It's There are people who just ready to put the work, hard work, but also smart work, and they're smart and they are patient and they're hardworking and they can they're resilient and they can endure the pressure and the challenge. That's what determines more successful people. No, I will live in Vietnam, Nha Trang. Uh, yeah, I think it's still in. It depends on U.S. and which day. There are still smaller areas. There are like villages and cities. There are like 1,000 people and more. So it's more concentrated. But I'm just I don't know. I think it's still a faster lifestyle, and I guess it still depends. It still depends. There might be more remote areas, and I'm all for it. But pricing wise, I believe that it's still more expensive comparing to Southeast Asia. Here in Vietnam, it's one of the most cheapest, the cheapest countries in the world, and it's really, really affordable and it's beautiful. So it really makes sense for a lot of people to come here and live their life, be respectful to everyone else, but also contributing to tourism because Vietnam wants tourists to come in. They want it, right? But at the same time, it can be a very good short-term or part-time base. Okay, my eyes a little bit itchy. I think I'm all the way top on the top of the chat. Messi and Ronaldo, which one do you like? I mean, those are so famous that in Georgia there is the whole bout about Team Messi, Team Ronaldo, even though there's nothing, they don't have to do anything with Georgia. Um, I guess I mean both are on the top and both have a talent and a hard work, and they already built a legacy. So respect to both. From Georgia originally. What's the best Vietnam? You mean the best city or best place to live? It's well, we're in a trunk city and we love it here. So let me check the time. Okay, I will need to start getting ready gradually. But yeah, generally, yeah, it's just lovely here. And the trunk city is not too big, not too small. It's a coastal city, so the coast is nice. Some people say that there are way better beaches. Well, I love it here. I love there are some islands around, some nature, some mountains. But you have city streets are nice and clean, especially in the outside, in the north part, outside of the like center. and it's still walkable distance here. We walk a little bit down to the south, and it's like all the shops, coffee shops, fresh food, uh, everything is available. So for us at this point, and gym also is nearly close, like 10-15 minutes walk. It's a good MMA gym, which has also boxing specifically as a separate class. So yeah, we just love it here. God bless you too. Thank you. What is the last age to start MMA and be pro? I mean, you have people 19, 21, and even later years who started, and there are even some in the 30s who started doing that, and they got the good record. I cannot tell you how much you can make out of it, like full time living. At least a part time, if you want to make a record and make a little bit of money, but you can combine it with something else, it's possible. Who's behind me? It's just someone, and I don't want to disturb them, so I just put the camera like this. From Georgia, Tbilisi, same country as Vietnam, same country as the Merab and Topurias. Levan Saginashvili, Georgian Hulk, slash the arm wrestler champion, and Lashet Alahadze. We have quite strong Georgians. Like wrestling, judo, weightlifting, arm wrestling are, and rugby, like those are like top sports. Boxing, Georgians are really shining. Doing well. Yeah, I have a husband who was in chat a moment ago. Doing well. I hope you're doing well as well. You must continue slapping technique. There's not much difference between you just instead of throwing this, you just open your palm and you're like you throw the hook technically, and you just open with an open palm, and that's it. Anyways, guys, I have a few minutes. I'm gonna wrap it up in a few minutes. So if you have any more questions, you can feel free to ask. Someone asked about training when I get back to training. I hope as soon as possible, but I'm still having some of the leftovers of that virus that I had, and I didn't feel good. I'm telling you, even with singing, I couldn't do it, and I'm just recovering still. So I think it takes a few more days, and hopefully by the next time, it's by the next week, I can do it. How is the day? It's still going on. It's good. Have performance later this evening. Yes, that's the way. Hello from General Santos City, Philippines. Hello. What about mosquitoes? I'll show you. Right now, they're not bothering me, but I always have this thing with me. Mosquitoes eat me. That's what she said. It sounds it sounds bad, but they eat me alive. They eat me. Like once back in Georgia, we were there's a forest outside of Tbilisi called Sabaduri, and me and my friends we just went there, and you wouldn't believe it. Somehow, it was me and my another friend who have O negative blood, and maybe there's some component to it or something. And our other of our friends, they literally you could see big mosquitoes flying around. There's like, so many of them. You can see the cloud of mosquitoes. Well, they started concentrating and literally covering me and my friend only. You could see others, they were just standing and they look at us like mosquitoes are all around you. So I think it's something with some component in the blood and smell, and I don't know, but yeah, that's just mosquitoes. I fight them. I fight for my life with if there are too many of them. So I always carry the spray. Okay, have a good night. Boxing, but I like to watch MMA and we talk about it, and it's just more like as a mixed martial art lover and enthusiast. But boxing is something that I do primarily. Which food is good for MMA? nutritious whole foods, and don't go like one-sided, or rather vegetarian, vegan, or carnivore. Just well balanced whole food diet that brings the most nutrition that your body needs, and not only for MMA fighters, for everyone basically. My favorite anime, the Attack on Titan. It's the best female MMA fighter. I can tell you both, like Nunes, I think, with her general record, and Shevchenko. I mean, to me, she's my favorite, like all-time favorite. So even though for some people think that Amanda is better, I think Shevchenko, like to me, she's number one. Your brain not to wearing long sleeves for those mosquitoes. As I said, now right now it's somehow it's all right. I was not in Georgia a couple months ago. Uh, yeah, and my husband is Norwegian. What's the channel about? Training, showing my journey into getting to a pro boxing, and just just some other good stuff. Favorite football player? Don't have one. I'm not really a football fan. Valentina beat Nunes in the second fight. We all know it. Yes, I was rewatching it. I think a couple weeks ago, and yes, it was clearly she won, and she was robbed, and her frustration was absolutely justified. I'm Georgian. My most favorite uh, supplement name. I don't have a specific brand. As I said, when it comes to supplements, my husband is more in charge. He picks the good brands. He researches about it. Multivitamin, omega-3, creatine. I love creatine as a supplement. Creatine really, really boosts me. So I try to take it daily, like 5 grams, just the average intake. This is her vlog journey to slap Piotr Yan. You're a boxer. Wow, great. Yeah, technically I'm not an active boxer at this point, but I want to open the pro record and at least have a few pro professional fights and see where that goes. But my biggest interest is more to give people tips and motivate them a little bit, inspire them, have a positive impact through my channel and grow that channel, and maybe end up a little bit in the talking um, platforms and talking field, like maybe podcasting, interviewing, having conversations with interesting people. I see myself doing that as well. So it's all kind of aligned together, and it's fascinating to be able to do all of it and being in the place, despite not being rich at all, but being able to have that good environment, good base, good spouse to uh, gradually being able to achieve those goals. Was Ronda Rousey exposed? Uh, well, it's more that the female MMA evolved rapidly and became more well-rounded. You can see those again. If you take Shevchenko level, they were before. They actually were before. It just Ronda brought a lot of visibility, but she played a little bit as the one-trick pony effect. Not because I think her judo was legit. Her judo, her arm, all of that was legit, but you could see her striking. So her striking setup was not good, and whoever lied to her, and you saw that she was too overconfident. Like when she knew she was fighting Holly Holm, like I don't care how famous I'm, how good, and if I'm a champion, if I know that I'm fighting someone who is so much better than anyone I fought before, there is no place for delusion, right? It's about watching fights. Like Piotr Yan did it great. Topuria did great. They watch fights. They watch the evolution of their opponent. They see those key moments, and they work specifically on the game to adapt. If they see that a person really aims a lot for the head, and they would want to strike your head off, all of a sudden they work on their guard and work on the specific counters on their openings, right? So it's not just, but it became too much of the show, and also her personality seemed to be a little bit like, I'm the best, I'm the baddest. That's not my favorite personality. I prefer, uh, actually, Holly Holm was very classy, at least in that period. So she was very like, she didn't disrespect Ronda, but she was like, I was better that night, and that makes sense. That was just the fact, right? So I prefer more of the smart thinking, strategy, trying to figure out your opponent. And you can do that in the pro fighting, MMA and boxing. You know who you're fighting ahead, so that allows you to do that. And unfortunately, a lot of people neglect it, and their teams do the same somehow. I don't know. I don't know how it happens. I would want to be surrounded by people, even if I become delusional and too arrogant at some point because of the fame hits my head. I want people surrounding me telling me, no, that person actually might beat you. First of all, because you're getting too into your head, but at the same time, because they have the skill set. So we need to make sure that we're ready for that potential threat, right? So yeah. Ronda was built up and brought the hype. It's been a historically common issue. Yeah, she's not the only one. There are a lot of fighters, and it's still happening. It's still happening. There are favorite fighters who are they UFC or any other organization. They try to make them look as good as possible, and that's just a fact. In my opinion, you have the most weapons than almost of or everyone. Well, I'm definitely a solution maker. I like figuring out things, but it doesn't mean that I'm nearly as good as executing certain things. Maybe in boxing, I might end up in a good spot. Maybe we shall see. In boxing, I'm more confident. I know myself. If that would be MMA, I know that I would have to take 2 3 years of good training. I would have to go through the wrestling camp and BJJ, and it would be super hard doing all of it together. But I know that it would take quite a prolonged amount of time for me to actually become optimally good for MMA. In boxing, it's easier for me at this point. But the attitude towards the same. Never never overestimate yourself, and never underestimate your opponent. That's like a golden rule that if you forget about it, you need to make sure that you have people around you who remind you that, and don't sugarcoat it. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, wrestling is incredibly hard. Yeah, it's so different than jiu-jitsu. Yes, and despite that, when you do wrestling, you still need jiu-jitsu. I think you still need BJJ because you need a defensive wrestling too. Sorry, defensive grappling in MMA, and well, it happens to be that Brazilian jiu-jitsu is the best for that one. So imagine you have to train that, and then you have to train an actual Olympic wrestling or Greco-Roman, like any Olympic style of wrestling, offensive wrestling, and you have to train your legs, and you have to get Muay Thai elements like knees, elbows, some spinning back elements that are like spinning back elbow or something like that. And obviously, you have to have a good optimal boxing, which, well, with boxing, it would be easier for me. I would adapt my MMA stance to the point that, it's has some boxing elements and like distance control, but it's different to put it all together in a puzzle, right? So there is no place for delusion. Well, WWE, I would look at it as the stage, like a lot of MMA people. But then watched some documentary about it, and now I have way bigger respect to that people because yes, it's staged, right, and it's performative, and it's like the whole universe. Everyone knows that it's staged. But have you seen some of the stuff they've been doing and actual damage and broken bones broken limbs that happened to some of them, like WrestleMania, and that's crazy. That's not like ask an MMA fighter, unless they go through specific training, to do some of the level of the stunts they do there. It's quite crazy, right? So as much as it's not real fight, it's a very physically demanding job too, and absolute respect for their athleticism and also that stunt risk, because that's definitely a risk. I noticed you're very much quicker and tricky than I thought. You mean my boxing, or do you think traditional taekwondo can beat boxing? Well, if a boxer cuts to the distance, I don't think so. But taekwondo's plus is legs. People think that taekwondo is like two of the fictional, but I've seen some of the videos of the street fight, and I've seen women doing that. Good punch to the groin, and then good punch even to the liver shot and to the head knocks you out flat. So as much as like all the fancy elements might not be too much of the use, but legs automatically increase the distance. So if you would use a Muay Thai or kickboxing leg kick to increase the distance and actually apply a bigger damage, bigger weight against your opponent, against someone in the street, and that would work. Why wouldn't taekwondo, a special classic one, without all the stunts and the defense elements, wouldn't work? I think it has their leg kicks are quite hard, and it's like all surrounded. It's more concentrated on the lower body anyway, so it's quite. I think it's quite a possibility, but not in the sense, as I said, if boxer just comment to you like this and just blend those two. Usually taekwondo, yeah, some of them have a good distance control, but they're like it works in a taekwondo match, not the real fight. Their stance is not as stable as, for example, Muay Thai would be. No, I'm not wrestler, I'm boxer. It's been a while. Hopes you all is well and happy weekend. Thank you very much, Gan. Thanks for showing up. Pro wrestlers use steroids and white powder so they can do all the high damage stunts. Still does not kill the damage, right? So it's still crazy. The both have merits, but taekwondo is weak inside. Well, that's exactly what I tried to say, but you put it well. You put it together better than I did. Boxing still has weapons at range, but excels inside the arm's length. Yes, that's a good point. Slapping Petr Yan is no easy feat. Korean taekwondo is definitely great for MMA, like karate. At least some of the elements. That definitely. I think the biggest problem with taekwondo and karate in MMA is the lack of defense. Actually, another Georgian fighter, and I think he was first in UFC, if I'm not mistaken, Giga Chikadze. And he comes from the Goju-ryu karate. That's the one that I actually practiced before moving to boxing back in Georgia. And he's like giga kick thing. Like his kicks are murderous. Like they really are. But he lost a lot of his fights, and he downgraded to the average level of the UFC fight. It's still highest level to be able to be at the average or like let's say top 10, top 15 list in the your weight class in UFC. It's still higher level. There might be higher level than anywhere else in other organizations, even comparing to their champions. But still, if you can see, his kicks and his punches and accuracy is not a problem. Defense is a problem, and a little bit of the stance solidity. So those little nuances, and if you don't work through it, if you just lean onto that one style, well, that is very characteristic. Punching accuracy, quite hard, but that's it. Very bad upper body defense and a little bit like vulnerability within the stance for against the wrestling. And all of a sudden, if you don't do anything with that, if you don't modify, you're just not going to be good enough. I was sad when Merab lost, but it seemed like he didn't mind. I mean, I think Merab took it as honorable as he could, so better than most of people do. So I think I was. It was. You gotta be a man, and you gotta be a fighter when you're in defeat as well. Georgian names are amazing in same pattern. How can I do push-ups perfectly? There are many push-up variations. Just try all of them, and always when you do a repetition, you push faster, always try to go a little bit slower and eccentric. That's what builds the muscle fibers and triggers the microtraumas, which essentially result into hypertrophy or the strength and the growth of the new muscle fibers. It depends how you do that, what's the repetition amount, and um, what's what weight you use sometimes on the top. Do you think keeping your hands low in boxing match a good idea if you have great speed? It's always a risk. It is always a risk. And if you think about it, there are few ones who are very have good timing, have movement, and they rely on it. Sometimes they do that. There is a difference. You might have a highlight when you do that, but you might do it against the opponent who's already defeated. You already defeated them, and you just tease them a little bit. That's one thing. But if you see elite against elite, they have to use their guard. And I'm not saying there's when I say use guard, doesn't mean just lock yourself in. It just keep your hands here. It helps you to sleep the punches away, the ones from your opponent, and all that nuances. You know what I mean? So yeah, you can see that difference when you have elite versus elite. Their guard is they use it. They don't have it locked all the times, but they have their hands close enough. They might drop them on the safer distance just to again just to set up something, but usually they have them here because it's way more of the use to have hands here and getting reflection. Then while you sleep you do this or you do this, it's just way more efficient and way more of the use potentially rather than just have dropped hands. It looks cool, but it doesn't work against every style. I always maintain if you could find someone with a good boxing base with strong karate and wrestling, BJJ, that is the ultimate fighter. Karate is so strong and hits so hard. Yeah, the contact karate. So like Goju-ryu, Kyokushinkai. Goju is karate from Okinawa, and it's a hard one. They literally punch rocks. They do. They punch wood and rocks. Imagine doing like a leg kicks and punches, all that kind of stuff. The positioning might not be perfect for the hands because they do it from here, like that. I still remember how to do it, but it still develops that contact power, and also it hardens the knuckles and shins, right? So contact karate can be super tough as an extra element, but they usually, because of this position, and even in the matches of karate matches, you can see their defense is not that good. That's why you need you need to take some boxing defense or some other element that just closes the gaps and openings. That's the only thing I'm implying in, because it's important to be able to do that. You might not have guards right here all the time, which is not a problem. But if you train the guard and if you use it, you know how to use it, that's a muscle memory already. It's a pattern. So you can't switch immediately when you need to. That's why it's important to train all these aspects, because then you have build up patterns within your game and you can switch rather than, oh, let me try this that I never tried. And that doesn't work that way. Then you cannot adapt. You cannot change your game during the fight. We got two champions. Well, I mean, Merab technically is not champion anymore, but I hope he gets that. I hope he gets belt specifically from Piotr Jan, so that Piotr Jan versus Merab 3 third fight happens, and yeah, I hope he gets it back, and I hope he starts thinking about slowing down a little bit, maybe have a few more fights, but not at that crazy pace he did in 2025, and retire gradually. You're so beautiful without makeup, Becky Lynch. Maybe I meet Becky Lynch one time and we do a live stream together. I don't know. That would be cool though. I'm not the Becky Lynch, guys. You can use right hand for left cover, keeping left hand low, but it's unique style. Yes, you can do. You can have just one side. The point is just being used to using your guard, and it can be just a one-sided guard. It can be both hands up. It depends on the distance as well. It really depends on the distance too. In boxing, you also very often you don't want to punch from bottom. Yes, you have sometimes you just do it playfully, fine. But now if you see at the elite level, it's way faster to land punch from straight line like here or bump the shortest trajectory rather keep your hands like and so some clumsy punches. It depends on the weight class too, but the lighter weight classes you go into, the more you see it's way more precise, and unless it's just a tricky some tricking or fake punches just for distraction's sake, you can see the actual solid punches are thrown from here or from here. It's like the shortest trajectory possible, right? So that is also an important nuance to look at. I'm from Georgia. Okay. Okay. Sorry, that was a little short disconnection. Yeah, Ali was great, and for heavyweight, he was great. He moved like a middleweight, like a welterweight. Hello, a random person on the internet. Hello, hello. Okinawa, Japan is a beautiful island. Have you been there? No, I haven't, unfortunately, at this point. But one day, gotta do more traveling. Japan is also one of the expensive countries. It's not that cheap. And injuries from boxing, a little bit of the septum, shifted septum, but that was back in then. Where on the trainings, unfortunately, we had the culture of heavy sparrings. And I'm glad that I didn't go through that for too long. It was just maybe a couple months at the time, but I could remember it was we didn't have that many technical sparrings. It was more heavy, 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 and yeah, since then. But now I'm very cautious of the injuries. Definitely, you don't want you want to train the way that you avoid injuries on the training. There's just no point setting yourself up for the failure. I'm from Georgia, Tbilisi. Yeah, you're bringing from lower shoulder. You're right. As I said, what the more complex boxer you become and the higher levels you encounter, the more it's about switching and playing chess. You know all of it, kind of. You have different elements trained and developed in your game, and now you just learn how to put the piece of the puzzle for against your opponent. There is always style against the style, and there's always an element that counters another element, and that's kind of the better boxer you are, the more you can see that, and you're able to crack their game, but they cannot crack yours because you're transparent, but you switch. You're unpredictable for them. That's why I said in the beginning I like fluid boxing, but it's not one style anymore. It's the combination of different elements from different styles. Rap was a champion, will be champion. Anyone who becomes a champion will always be champion. Appreciate it. Yeah, no, definitely. And he has his belts. You know that champions, former champions, don't get striped with their belts. They have their belts from the time they become champions. But I believe he can do it. He still got it. But after that, he might need to think about maybe retiring potentially. What do you think about southpaw fighters? Hard for orthodox because we encounter them relatively rare than the right-handed ones. However, on the elite level, you can see more and more southpaws because they actually, they're and now. There is already an approaches that actually work against as much as the southpaw might be uncomfortable for orthodox, but one of the things you want to have your front foot outside of theirs because that's what they're trying to do, and that's kind of a little bit of catching game, who's going to have that foot outside to set up the good position, and their liver is quite exposed, so their liver is quite exposed, and basically going on the left side like sleep go to the ribs is a um, good it's easy to get under them. Also, if you do sometimes some switches, like just a switch combo and go from the orthodox just for a moment to apply the combo, they get distracted because they are also southpaw against southpaw is quite difficult for them because that's not what they're used to. And one more thing, the southpaw always gonna try to counter you with left, and because it's the mirror effect, sometimes right-handed they are kind of end up in the position there to open. Always expect a left cross or left whatever, left hook, left cross usually come to your chin because that's what they try to set up. Especially if they try to walk outside of you, you literally have a good angle and opening for it. So having your right hand quite mobile and like use it that way and counter their left cross is always convenient. So just if you have a southpaw, just keep that hand here. There's no point having it here. Just a few elements that I observed with the southpaw. We used to spar light, heavy sparring is that. Yeah, I will try to and call it out when I see it on YouTube. Well, you can I think a person who explains that better is Tony Jefferson. He's an actual accomplished boxer and has a very good school, and he has some footwork master classes, and he has YouTube, and he speaks about the smart sparring. When I say light sparring, I don't mean a fake non-contact sparring. That's not what I mean. What I mean is okay, what would you do in a fight? On fight, you go all in, and you have moments when you punch really hard and you aim for head. No matter what people say, you might work on stomach a lot. Still, majority punches usually come on head, right? On the guard, on the head. And well, obviously, one of the reasons why you need to have a good body movement, just to be able to avoid that, right? So you let them throw punches, let them sleep, create the generate the fatigue in your opponent gradually, right? So that's a kind of a good defense aspect to it. But when you do technical sparrings, look at it that way. Yes, you need sparrings and you need to put yourself in position as close as possible to replicate that real pressure and challenge that you would have in a real fight. But at the same time, if you do a real fight within the sparring, training sparrings, you're going to set up yourself for a failure. You waste your resource. You don't really learn. Unfortunately, when people do ego fighting and ego sparring, you notice they don't really learn. They just go into fight and flight, but that's not the point. You want to trick your brain into learning the pattern, which requires a certain pace of training. And it starts from slower. You can speed up it a little bit, but that's why there are a task sparrings, like for example, only jab, or there's one person working one way and you go only defense. There are different task-oriented sparring training, and also certain combo days. Sometimes you just respond with one specific combo because you want to build up that pattern. And those sparrings, they go into a moderate pace. Those are the ones who build your skill set gradually. Your footwork, your skill set, you just do the repetitions so you get better at it. And then you have a freestyle sparring, right? So you do even there. What I see and what Tony Jeffries was been saying is you can actually, if you are a good boxer and at certain level you get there. I'm at that point. I can throw jab super fast as I would do in the ring, but I don't really have a contact. But I can change that immediately. It's not like that I have a habit of doing that. No, I can punch hard if I just switch immediately, if I decide to. But it's very important to preserve your head and long-term health. This is because we're talking about long-term health in sports. However, you can see, and that's actually good work because already everyone is focused on head. Already, so everyone tries to punch head, and you can see most of boxers still go for the head, and stomach and the shoulders, arms, punching those areas is more underestimated. Well, what you would want to do into technical sparring, let's not call it light sparring. We're talking about technical smart sparring. What you do is you do a lot of like boom, boom, faster, explosive, snappy punches, but just by definition, because you don't go too hard at that point. It also teaches you how to pace and control the fight better, because then when you see that it's appropriate, you can always go heavier. There is no problem with going heavier. You need to make sure first that your opponent is mentally defeated and tired. That's the biggest point. But in the technical sparring, that's how you work with the head. However, stomach and shoulders, boom, boom, shoulders. You learn how to do hard, and you can do combos like bum. You go snappy right, and then you go left hook right on the shoulders. Canelo is doing that. Rocky Marciano used to do that. Not, I haven't seen many other boxers doing that either. But head is not somewhere that it hurts that much. Yes, you become dizzy, but it doesn't really hurt because of the gloves and cushions. What it really hurts is a proper liver shot and the like this stomach area and your arms. That hurts. If you try to punch it on someone, they will tell you. And if someone punches on you, a couple punches and you feel that, oh, okay, that's uncomfortable. So actually learning how to punch those areas, you will set up your opponent for not being able to use their arms efficiently anymore. And then obviously the difference is that in sparring, you can still keep going, just working smart, and just have a good guard and just work on the pacing. Well, in the real fight, when you already set up that situation, you can go hard. You can just boom, boom, and try to go for a knockout, for example, right? Especially once they're defeated. That's why I'm talking about the smart sparring and learning in it. Because boxing is a gentleman's sport. It's been evolving and it's still evolved, and the accuracy and preciseness and timing has to do a lot. But also now we have more talks about longevity in the sport. That type of sparring and that type of a little bit of nuance, but breakdowns into the sparring training for the preparational purposes for the actual fight really builds you up to be comfortable in ring and actually be able to do things. You still get punched in the head. I'm not saying it's like playing it, but boxers who actually practice it will understand what I mean. And I've done it with myself, and a lot of guys do that with me because obviously they cannot punch me full force, but they still do fast. They still do that snappiness because they control it. However, for me, it's the full speed, right? So the reflex and the reaction, it's close enough to be to replicate that reaction and movement, to put yourself in the situation to learn that. However, it still preserves, relatively speaking, your head and your brain health. Say whatever you want, but go see the research. Even a mild contact, it still has an accumulative effect. So the more you put yourself in a situation where your just head gets knocked off, imagine you do fights. Imagine you have 20 fights about, right? That's already quite a lot. But imagine you do 10 times more than that during the preparational period, and you actually get injuries and you actually get concussions in your training. That is the wrong way to do it. I already know quite some fighters, both in MMA and boxing, who don't really do heavy sparrings anymore. They started looking at it as the strategy and how to build up certain patterns. So agree or disagree with it. I ranted a little bit, but I think it's an interesting topic. So I believe a lot of you responded about it in the chat. So I'm going to look through chat now. Pace and clinch, but it's pretty true. Oh, of course, yeah. It depends on the size difference. Middle range, close range works for the shorter boxers, obviously, and the long range wants to keep on the distance. And that's very often you want to put that scenario. You actually take a taller boxer to prepare a shorter one. You take a longer range boxer, and it's actually easy. For the longer range, they don't have to punch hard. Obviously, in the fight, they would try to punch hard. But for the preparational purposes, very often a good coach will tell a taller boxer to, okay, now you jab them, you do that snappy, annoying jab. Sometimes you start a little bit slower, then you increase. And you, as the smaller boxer, you need to get into situation how to cut through and how to apply like 2-3 punches to, apply the damage, push them in the clinch. Sometimes you might do it, back off a little bit again, but ideally, against the long range boxers, you want to be there. You want to be stuck on it. And sometimes you increase the distance just to apply certain combo, but you don't want to give up that distance either, right? So it's possible to put the sparring process in the way that it's not about killing your sparring partner anymore. There's no point. Why would you want to do that? you want to use that tool as smart as possible. That's the only. Uh, Ricky Hatton was a phenomenal body puncher. Yeah, that's true. By the way, thank you for mentioning Ricky Hatton. Rest in peace. She's a Georgian champion of boxing. Yes, and I'm going pro this year. That's my husband saying. What's your thoughts on Katie Tell? Katie Tell is one of the favorite female boxers to me, and well, she is general acknowledged. She's a great footwork. She has a great back and forth distance. She's great counter puncher. She knows. A lot of females still don't do as good uh, defensive footwork and defensive countering, and she does it great. You can have an offensive countering. Um, her and at the modern ones, I'm looking at the Caroline Dubois. She seems to be extraordinary. Her power is great, but I don't know if she faced really as good someone who's matching her with athletic abilities at boxing. Because in females, it's still a little bit different, but you have those prodigies, and if you look at their boxing, it's it's getting close. It's like it's way higher level than it used to be 10, 20 years ago. So I see people use the southpaw stance being right-handed besides the jab and the late hook. Whatever advantage does it give? Obviously, if you just do it just to switch, it doesn't work, right? But there are a couple combos I tried and it worked. It worked about southpaw. It's usually I I like to be on the middle range already. It doesn't work. A lot of things that I explain doesn't work from the long distance because I'm not a long distance boxer myself. I'm shorter, so at least I have to have a middle range, meaning that I can touch their head like this. So it's not the full extended jab. It's like this is the middle range for me approximately. And in this case, if they're in a guard and if you already punch them quite well, you applied some of the unpleasant punches and they're guarded up, or you can use that moment. And that's what I like angle shifting. So shift, shift. And when you do shifts, you actually need to switch stances. That's one of the ways. And you can always use the hand. You can all of a sudden switch the stance and use that hand not even as the punch, more as the a pushing mechanism. And all of a sudden, boom, you have the opening. So you see, I'm all over it from the side. You know what? I'll try to live stream from tomorrow. I'll do just the basic movements and get somewhere on the beach or somewhere because I miss the boxing movement and and I feel way better. So I'll try to do that tomorrow and stay tuned. Hope you can join me and we can go through those elements more. Hector Camacho. I'll be completely honest. I have not seen this boxer. I don't know. I don't know who he is, but I'm screenshotting it now because I always say that just teach me if there is something, and there are a lot of things I don't know, right? Because the boxing history is quite saturated, quite big. I'm gonna look him up, and well, thank you for putting his name in the chat. Okay, what we have changes timing, but yeah, often people just mess around with it. Rare to see top level fighters switch stance. I mean, Crawford is one of the people, and he even does it whether while countering. But if you think about it, when you have a boxer, when you're a boxer who has so much good balance, good footwork, strong stance, there is actually, and I think a lot of boxers struggling with it because there's conventional stance you have to be. No one says that you shouldn't do it that way, but why can't you just go to crossfoot? Why can't it? It's easier to cut angles when you are more into a neutral stance, and you can easier switch. And sometimes switching legs helps you to cut distance drastically, right? Like same as you would do a crossfoot, like Tyson would do peekaboo, and he would do like it very often. He would just crossfoot, right? Left foot leaning to the right, and right foot leaning to the left. You do a couple steps like that. You already with uh, the upper guard and the head weaves. All of a sudden, get into more aggressive distance cutting. So yeah, why not? Why wouldn't it? That's the point of, and that's the point of the quality sparring. You let yourself try those things. If you know that everyone's here to like fight in the training, you're not be able to do all of that. I've been in a situation. I'm just talking from my experience too. I never learned from the environments where it was actually heavy sparring, because I was thinking is about how not to get killed, obviously not literal speaking, but that's your brain doesn't care about if it's a real danger or not. It If it projects it as the potential danger, you drop into fight or flight response, same as you would do in a real situation of danger. uh, Serrano is great also. Well, Serrano is a super hard puncher. Her upper body movement is great. Footwork wise, Katie is better, but Serrano is like this movement. I like her shoulder positioning, and she's definitely tough. I mean, absolutely, both of them would kick my ass, like no doubt. For so long and very humble. Yeah, Katie is. I like her attitude. Is pretty much her. Fun fact: her coach, her main coach, is from Georgia. I forgot his name, but my friend who is also a female boxer, she's in Belgium now. She knows her coach, and she actually talked to Katie on the cam at some point. It was years ago, but and she's been in Georgia before too. Okay, what do we have here? NT for new boxes just start like a month and a half. Basics. Focus on basics and don't rush. Slow down. Teach your brain the pattern. Those are the elements even the higher level boxers always come back to and go through. So focus on basics. Hip movement, the right positioning of your hands, shoulders. Make sure your chin is not up there, like your core. You need to be a little bit lean forward. At least this is what I think. You don't want to be like this, right? More close in, and go through the basics. For your own opinion, who's the best, 50-0 or 8 division champion? 8 division champion, my favorite. I'm not downgrading Mayweather. I'm just saying who is my personal favorite. My personal favorite is Manny Pacquiao, and that man didn't really cherry pick his fights either. He was really great as much, and his personality generally. He's just a combination of an actual warrior, but he was so good, and he's still so good that like he has also very extraordinary, unique timing and boxing skill and his specific style. And if you very often you look at the Manny Pacquiao, he rushes in and his right leg sometimes is in the air when he throws a punch. And conventionally, that's actually not correct. But who cares? That's Manny Pacquiao because he has extraordinary balance. He can be on the one foot at the point and still land that punch. Usually, he would do like flip, like a three puncher combos, and very aggressively get into a close distance. And very often that will lead into a knockout, especially in his prime years. Um, so yeah, I would pick Manny Pacquiao. However, Floyd Mayweather is one of those most precise and accurate boxers, like beautiful boxing. And you have like a pretty boy era where he was quite a knockout puncher too. Like he was quite all over there. And then it was Money era when he was like, okay, let me be smarter about it. And then he delves into the Mayweather defensive style. That is, it's like a school book. You since he was doing that, I think even in Georgia, there was the Mayweather stars in some gyms from some coaches. They started implementing the feel the shell defense and basically a rear foot positioning and countering from that position and moving, sidestepping from that position. So both are great. My favorite still is the Pac-Man. Please tell your boss YouTube income, not much. It's 100 to 200 euros. It's great as an additional income, but it's not too much. I'm more interested to grow the audience long term rather than just the short term gain at this point. Man is the man. Some tips to start boxing as a beginner so that I don't get any issues in street fighting if it happens, just to defend myself and hit them hard so that I could run without damaging them too much. As I said, I understand that you want to defend yourself and all that kind of stuff, but if you're learning boxing, focus on boxing, right? Focus on learning a skill and enjoy it, and take it slow. Go through the basics. Basics is the one that actually you need for self-defense. If you learn how to throw a couple 1-2 punches, that might be more than enough. That's actually the 90% of what where street fights start. At least one-on-one start and finish, and just people flee, right? So work on basics, but don't get obsessed about, oh, what it happens on street. Enjoy the process of learning boxing as a skill as well, because it's going to give you so much more apart from the ability to self-defend yourself. It's going to give you a lot of confidence, it's going to reshape your body. It's going to on the chemical and hormonal level, it's going to make you feel more balanced and calm as well. Like every type of training, but I always recommend mixed martial arts or combat sports for that purpose, because it combines few of those in one. If you like watching balanced fighters, definitely watch some Hagler. He was for me the perfect fighter. Oh yeah, Hagler I'm familiar with. Four King, all Four Kings. Um, you can like Hagler was the beast, and Hagler was like he could cut the distance, like a lot of gazelle punches, like gazelle hooks, uppercuts, and jabs. He was the one who was using it very commonly. Also hard puncher, and athletically he was just also blessed, and all of those. His guard, solid, very good. Hagler's problem was his microphone skills, but that's out of boxing. That's more like showmanship. A couple words about when we're talking about basics. Thorns. Sorry, Hearns. Tommy Hearns. So Hearns was one of the prominent champions from the Kronk gym. Emmanuel Stewart was his coach and one of the best coaches in the boxing. Look, very spectacular. He imagine choosing to be a coach. I'm talking about Emmanuel Stewart, and he had 93-0, I think, or 93-1 record in amateur boxing. That is a big ass record. Like that, it would be interesting to see him doing professional boxing, but well, he out of the circumstances of his life, he chose to be a coach. But he built so many champions, and Kronk boxing was based on the basics. All flamboyancy, put it away. They have a very good long distance work. They, I think, reintroduced one like Lennox Lewis and Tommy Hearns are one of the most prominent. Klitschko's, and I think Fury works for him a little bit, and there are others too. Like point out whoever comes to your mind. So, anyways, there you can see that they do as simple as possible. They have jab two, a lot of execution of the straight punches, but very precise, accurate, good footwork, the footwork control and the distance control without too much of the movement and too much of the wasting energy. So I just wanted to point out, because a lot of people just Hearns had just a long reach and that's it. But it's not really true. It's very interesting to delve into basics with that boxer and his school where he came from. This is the shining of the importance of the basics. If you master your basics, you can be top tier without too much of the extra stuff and flamboyancy. And obviously, Duran and Sugar Ray were great. Duran was like too small for that weight class, but he was somehow their equal. And Sugar Ray, I think Sugar Ray was the most fluent out of those. If you take all of it, like the footwork, the timing, the fluidity, I still think he was a little bit ahead. Okay, I'm keep scrolling up. Do you think that Ilya can defeat Islam? I think he can, but so does Islam. That fight is so interesting because unless welterweight, Islam has a bigger advantage. Let's be honest. The weight matters, the muscle density matters. Ilya is already smaller than Islam, right? So he can easily get outpowered despite good wrestling. Whether with Morales, for example, Islam would have hard time, even if he's not as good wrestler as Islam. In that case, size and strength and muscle density matters, because imagine not being able to hold someone on the ground because they're a little bit too strong for that, right? In the catch weight and lightweight, I think Ilya has a better situation. Punching power, I think Ilya can has such a punching preciseness and power. He still can knock out some of the welterweights, but not someone like Morales. Imagine Ilya Topuria versus um, Michael Morales. Like imagine that welterweight bout. It's just impossible. It's just because Ilya is not near anywhere to a not to be a proper welterweight. Islam is perfect at the welterweight, and Morales is too big for the welterweight. He's actually natural the middleweight. So it's interesting to see that dynamics. Even if it happens in the welterweight for Ilya, and his chances are still relatively decreased in that case. But let's say he actually makes that, and that would be legendary. He like knocks out Islam or he finishes the fight. He needs to leave welterweight for all costs. Like everyone who he would fight after, they're just bigger than him, and especially Morales. I can't picture Morales fighting Topuria. It's just impossible. Also, considering that Morales is a super hard puncher himself. Like, have you seen his punches? It's not as fast, maybe, but he just lends those two, and you can hear through the octagon how it's like it's just a flat. You know that it's like the hammer hit. So I think it's definitely a fight to make, but maybe consider to do a catch weight or welterweight just for the one time. Like GSP fought Michael Bisping just in the middleweight just once, and then there he retired, or Ilya would move back to his weight class. I think that would be the most optimal. If you're into boxing, do you know about Ilya Topuria? Any views on how he can perform if he tries in boxing? Also, to Tom Aspinall, boxing about we don't have very big success rate with MMA going to the boxing. However, Topuria could be his upper body shows that he has pretty much clean boxing. The matter is the footwork. And boxing, the footwork changes everything. And timing, Ilya has timing. But in boxing, you have a lot of frequency too. In MMA, it's more about accuracy and finding the timing through other elements. And you would like do leg kicks, and you would do a lot of pacing. In boxing, it's a lot of jab, 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 and he would need to increase his frequency and a lot of fake punches or a lot of 30% punchers, and then set up boom like for 100 like 80% power punches and that kind of stuff. And his footwork, that's something that he would need to literally go through quite a long-term camp, a proper footwork, to be able to fight the elite level of boxing. If he understands that, I think, and I think he might do it that way. But everyone can get arrogant and everyone can get too much into their head. And I just wish I'm glad that I think Ilya has one of the very big assets, and that's his brother, who is, you can see that he's a very humble personality. He's very calculating, and his older brother, and I think he guides Ilya on many of this. He's his coach as well. So it's important that even in the situations where Ilya might be a little bit too in his head and a little bit too overconfident, his brother give him and his team give him a real feedback. Okay, we need to study that precisely, and they do that with their fights, like with Charles and the other fights with Holloway. People were like you remember Topuria said, "What an opportunity!" Not because he was arrogant, because they are smart about it. They rewatch all those footages and they see that pattern of the Holloway being a good striker for MMA, but have so many openings, and seeing that there was a moment how he knocked out Holloway. He likes to switch, and when he switched the stance, Holloway, he steps back. He has so Ilya basically set up a moment where he would cut the distance right at the moment where Holloway switches the stance. It's such a precise little detailed breakdown. It's not that you improvise that. That's something that you study and your team studies and you study together. So considering that they're quite high IQ, and that's one of the biggest parts, the reasons of their success at this point in MMA. It says a lot about their strategical thinking, and IQ. So I would assume that they understand. Also considering that his brother's footwork, even stance in MMA, is even more boxing-like. It's actually pure. With the Bekzat Alahman, you could see Alexander Topuria's. That was his second fight in UFC. His his left leg was too exposed for the leg kicks, which couple times you saw that, and Alahman kicks hard. He has very accurate low kicks, and the literally dropped him and had to stand back up. However, that advantage is that it literally would slip all the punches through his shoulder, and it was like he was very good at setting up those punches. And there was the moment of the very hard countering that I don't think he's as powerful as Ilya at this point, like punching wise, but power and strength is manageable. You can increase it in certain periods of time. You can actually progressively training alongside with the actual boxing or MMA training, and it might uh, improve your power. But anyways, it's just interesting. I think they would approach it not just in the way that, oh, let me just do boxing and throw some hands. No, I think they understand what it takes to get there. Why do you have to prepare for a street fight in the first place? Isn't that dumb? Like, just act normal. You don't need to fight unless you are the problem. I mean, I understand the need to be able to protect yourself. I understand that. There's nothing wrong with that, and wanting to do martial arts to learn how to at least be in a position to be able to protect yourself and run away if something happens. However, I agree. Thinking too much about street fighting, there are some boys who just do the bare knuckle on the backyards and then the stadiums. That's stupid. That's dumb as fuck. Don't do that, please, young boys. Just go to the gym, and if you do martial arts, yes, that's gonna automatically increase your skill, not only your fighting skill, but your environmental awareness. You're gonna start learning that you're gonna start recognize people by their stance, what they might be capable of, despite their looks, and you're gonna be way more like, oh, okay, I don't want to fighting, and you're gonna try to learn how to resolve conflict with words or even just avoid those situations, right? So that is a skill too. However, it's gonna give you so much more. It's gonna give you fitness, physicality. It's gonna give you a better, improved cognitive, and yeah, if you approach it strategically, and if you start looking at on the nuances, you actually become smarter too. You become more strategic through playing martial arts, and that helps you to approach in a similar way all the other aspects of your life. It gives you confidence. So if you're a young boy, yes, train martial arts, train combat sports, but try to do it for the sake of getting so much more than just fighting in the street. Yeah, Duran was carried by his power. I feel Hagler was robbed against Leonard, but technically maybe Sugar Ray was best. But I feel Hagler really was gifted with everything, included grit. Yeah, I mean, and that's why there are a lot of people more and more appreciating Hagler. As I said, at that time he was not that marketable, and you're right. Even if he wasn't directly robbed against the fight, I think yeah, I'm just trying to remember if I've seen that fight fully. At least it was a very close fight. And oh yeah, I remember. It was actually the one that where Leonard was quite tired. He was still exploded. It was quite impressive how he would explode all of a sudden, but it was quite rough for him. You could give it to Hagler, but the problem with Hagler, he was not at that period. He was not marketable for the majority. So unfortunately, and now we look at him as the one of the great. Well, he was well deserved one of the four kings, and that's the entire era. And he's way more appreciated now. But unfortunately, back then, I think out of those three, Hagler was the most underrated, or how you say that, he suffered the most through, like, because of the unfairness, because he wasn't maybe as marketable as others, you know what I mean? What do you think about Ilya versus Arman? I think Ilya wins. I think that Arman is number one contender, and he was, despite me, I mean, not necessarily liking him, but I have respect for the skill set and the level, right? And whatever is his background, yes, he might have, not coming from the poor background, but the fact he is number one lightweight contender, and he had to fight instead of Pimblet. He had to fight with Gage in this case, or something like that. But Also, the fact like not making a weight and showing a lot, like his attitude towards it is also. I kind of understand why UFC punished him, but he can do it forever. So he definitely has to fight for the belt, whether it's Ilya or anyone for Paddy or Gagey. Whenever Ilya comes back, I think he wins. I think he wins. Wrestling wise, I think they're quite close enough together. Size wise, people say that Arman is bigger. He's actually not. They're like the same height. At least they're in the stats. It says that they're same height. So it would be like Volkanovski versus Topuria uh, height difference. However, Volkanovski is, to me, higher IQ and higher skill set level, even up until this point. That's one of the reasons. So, what helped him to become, after Ilya's knockout, he became featherweight champion against the young Diego Lopez, which is a rematch. We're going to look for a rematch this in the beginning, a little bit later in the 2026. But yeah, I don't think. And when it comes to the punching power and accuracy, come on, Taporia is way more a threat for Arman in this case. And that's the thing. Considering Volkanovski being a very good striker and one of the well-rounded fighters, a super good IQ, he got caught through and just he was actually doing quite well with Ilya at some point, and then just that, what was it, like a 1-2? He just gets punched and he just gets flat down. So that's why I think people don't realize how hard puncher is Ilya, but also absolutely accurate, precise, and it's not just a fluke. He knows how to set it up. He's gonna watch your openings in the fight and the before fight. They're gonna study you, and he's gonna know what to do. So it's quite a dangerous opponent if you look at it that way, and his team generally. So I believe Ilya wins against Arman. However, I'm not saying that Arman has zero chances. Arman is number one lightweight contender. I think he's a bigger threat than Paddy. The reason why I'm saying that, because I don't think Paddy proved himself. Like, we shall see. We shall see how he performs against Gagey and how he wins. If he wins absolutely dominating, well, we can say, okay, that's something, and at least let's see what's Paddy versus Tarakian. That might be interesting. But if it's gonna be, even if it's a win with a stretch, you know what I mean. It's but yeah, that's my take. Sorry for ranting though. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, guys. Thanks for being here. Okay. No, Ilya is at zero chances against Arman. That's a casual take. You can say at least 50-50 and I would understand that. But you can, when you say zero chances, imagine what you're talking about. It's like a super casual in this case. Also saying Arman has zero chances against Ilya, that's also unfair. I would say I would pick 60-40 or even 70-30 to Ilya's favor. That's what I think. Okay, but guys, I gotta wrap it up now. I have to get ready for tonight. Thank you very much for being here. Have a good day and good night, depending where you're from. And I'll try to make a live stream where I just do a little bit of footwork and movement, just outdoors, and it's considered to be a training, but just get some moving and some boxing, throw some hands, do a little shadow boxing. So I'll try to live stream that, and I see you, next